Hello, this is Miss Casey with FIBO Kids Art Academy and welcome back to another wonderful art class. Today we are going to be doing another Halloween project. Now this is meant for our students from 2nd grade and higher, so let's go ahead and get started. For our project today, we are going to be making a witch. So as you can see here on my desk view, I have a project of our witch on a broom flying in the sky in front of the moon. And now the supplies that we'll be using for this project are going to be colored pencils, watercolors, and some acrylic as well. And the acrylics are going to be used for the stars in the sky and also just some fun texture that we have. Now, if you don't have acrylics, that's totally fine. You can still do this project without your white acrylics. Okay, so this is just going to be a lot of fun. And let's go ahead and get started with our practice draw. So I'm going to go ahead and move everything out of the way now. And I'm going to bring over my practice paper. So for our practice draw, let me move over my supplies. For our practice draw, we're just going to use any piece of paper that we have. So that can be scratch paper, computer paper, sketchbook paper. So go ahead and grab out your practice paper now. When you're drawing, you want to make sure that you are using a pencil. You can also take out an eraser. Now we're not going to be outlining anything today. However, during my drawing steps, I'm going to be using a Sharpie so you can see my lines better. But please make sure that you are using a pencil only. I'm going to go ahead and take my Sharpie now. And to get started for our drawing, you want to turn your paper horizontal. That is side to side. Now the first step for our project in our practice draw is we are just going to focus on the main subject, which is our witch on the broom. So first we're going to start with the witch's hat. Okay, so for the hat, we're going to come down toward the top of our paper and in the middle, and you want to draw a nice long stretched out letter U. That's going to be for the bottom of the hat. Now that we have that long stretched out letter U, we're going to draw two curved lines that come in for the sides of the hat, but they don't connect. Now that we have those two lines that come in, on the right side, we're going to take that line and curve it up and over. And then from that line, we're going to bring it down nice and straight. So it looks like the hat is bending. So now that we have this curved line up and bring it down, we're going to go ahead and curve it into the middle for our hat. And then bring it straight down to connect to that curved line on the left side. Okay, so now that we have our hat for our witch, next we are going to draw the face. Now for our witch, she is flying, so we only see the profile view or the side view. So we're going to see her side profile, the profile of her face, her profile portrait. So we're going to start underneath the hat on the right side, and we're going to start with a small curved line for the top of the head. And then we're going to bring that line and point it out for her long pointy nose, so witch's nose. And then from that small line, we're going to bring it back in, curve it down just a little bit. And then we want her chin to be nice and big as well, so we're just going to draw a large curved line like a backward C. And that's going to make our profile for the witch's head. So we have the top of her head, her nose, the mouth, and the chin, and we're going to bring that chin line in about halfway as we see the hat. And next what we're going to do is we are going to draw the neck. Now we're again only seeing the side view of the witch, so we're just going to draw a short vertical line down the bottom of the chin or the bottom of the jaw. And then next for her dress or her clothes, we're going to go ahead and draw this rectangular shape. So we want to start first with a horizontal line right underneath the neck. And then for the back, on the left side, we're going to curve that line coming down and then curve it around. So it kind of looks like a backwards J. And then you're going to bring that line, continue in just a little bit, and then stop. So that's going to be the back and the bottom of her dress. Next, for the right side, we're going to come on the top of the shoulders, curve that line down, and you're going to stop about halfway this time, rather than going all the way down like we did on the left. Okay, and right now we're just going to stop there, and that's going to be the side of her body. But next we're going to draw the arm. So we want the arm to come and overlap this part of the body. So right in the middle, underneath her shoulders, we're going to go ahead and start the arm with a nice big rainbow line for the top. Bring those two lines down at the bottom, down a little bit more. The left side is going to come lower because that's where the elbow is going to be. And then you're going to extend that elbow line, bringing it out like a letter L. And then for the top line, you're going to connect a line that comes down and over to meet that other arm. And then for that bottom line at the bottom of the arm, we're going to keep going with that line and curve it down. And we want to bring it down, keep going until you just go right above the bottom of your paper. That's going to be for her knee. Since she's riding a broom, she's bending her leg. So we have the knee and the rest of her gown or her dress. So now that we have this line, we can go ahead and finish up the rest of the dress. So we're going to come right underneath our backwards J on the left side, come in toward the middle, and we're going to draw another line that comes down. And then right at the bottom for the dress, you're just going to connect it with the curved line like a letter U. Alrighty, so now at the end of her arm, we're just going to finish up the sleeves. So for this top line, you're just going to curve it down to connect to the dress. And then draw another round curved line like a backward C for the hand. And now we have an empty section over here underneath the hat on the left side, and that's going to be for her hair. So we're going to draw the hair flying out like it's flying from the wind. So we're going to come underneath the hat, draw a curved line out at the top. Then you're going to draw about 4 curved lines to connect to the back of her body. And then underneath the hat in the middle, we're just going to draw a curved line that comes down to touch the shoulder on the side of her head. Now all that we're missing is her leg, and again, since she is flying, we only see the side of her body, so we're only going to see one arm and one foot. Her leg is inside her dress. So for the foot, we're just going to draw 2 vertical lines, one long line on the left and a short line on the right. And witches are known to have really pointy shoes. So at the bottom, we're just going to draw a line that comes out like a letter L. And at the top of the foot, you want to curve it down so it looks like a nice pointed foot. Alright, so now we have our witch, and again she's flying on a broom, so next we're going to draw the broom. Okay, so first what we want to do is draw our 2 diagonal lines for the broomstick. So we're going to start on the right side first because we want this to attach to her hands. So we're going to draw 2 diagonal lines, one from the top of the hand for the top of the broom, and one from the bottom of her hand for the bottom of the broom. And then right at the end, you're just going to curve it with the backward C. And then you want those 2 lines to connect on the other side. So make sure that you're following, not drawing through the witch, but make sure to follow those lines for the broom. And then we're going to draw a triangle shape for the part of the broom bristles. And then you're going to draw 2 vertical lines like a number 11. Connect that broomstick. And then you're going to draw 2 more vertical lines. And then a sideways letter V for the bottom of the broom where the bristles are coming from. Now at the very end, because they are bristles and they kind of end at different areas, we're going to make it look a little rough and textured. So we're going to have some curved lines at the bottom of that broom. So now we have our witch on our broom. Now that's all we're going to focus on for our practice draw. There are definitely going to be much more details to draw for our final. So let's go ahead and finish up your practice draw. If you're not quite done yet, that is okay. This is just your practice draw, but if you'd like to finish, you can go ahead and pause and finish that up and then move on to your final draw when you are ready. But now I'm going to go ahead and switch my paper out so that way we can start on our final draw. Okay, so for our final draw, make sure that you have out your final paper. Now we are going to be using watercolors today, so you can just make sure that you have a thick enough piece of paper to use your watercolor on so that your paper doesn't rip. Okay, now for our final draw, we're going to do everything that we just did for our practice draw, but again, we're going to add a lot more detail. Alrighty, now when you drew your practice draw, take a second look at it to make sure, do you need to make it bigger? Do you need to make it smaller? Did everything fit? Was it a little too to the left? Was it a little too to the right? Think of all of those things that you can correct and do that in your final draw. That's what a practice draw is for. It helps us to know what those corrections we need to make are. So now, if you are ready for your final draw, go ahead and grab out your pencil. Again, I'm going to be using a Sharpie so you can see my lines better on your screen. But let's go ahead and get started. Make sure your paper is horizontal, side to side. And we're going to start up at the top of our paper for the witch's hat. So we're going to start with our long curved letter U for the bottom of the hat. And then at the top, we're going to draw our two curved lines that come in, but they don't connect. And then on the right side, you're going to connect from that end line, draw a curved line that comes up. And at the end of that line, come over to the left. And then bring that line, curve it into the middle, and connect it over to the left side. So now that we have our witch's hat, next we're going to draw her profile face, the side view of her face. So at the bottom of the hat on the right, you're going to draw a small curved line for the top of the head. And then you're going to bring that line out for her pointy nose. And then bring it back in. Kind of looks like a triangle, nice and pointed. And then curve that down. And bring it right back out for her nice big curved chin. And extend that line to go over until you reach the middle of the hat. Alright, so now we have her face and her hat. Now let's go ahead and draw her neck. So right underneath in the middle of her chin, draw a short vertical line. And then underneath that line, we're going to draw the body. So we're going to start with a straight line that comes underneath the neck. And then you're going to curve it down on the left and bring it down and curve it around like a letter J or a backwards J. And that's going to be for the left side. Now for the right side, we're going to curve it down again, but this time it's going to stop about halfway to that line that we have on the left. So now that we have the body, we're next going to draw the arm to show where the arm is coming in front of the body. So at the very top of the body, we're going to draw a rainbow line for the shoulder or the top of the arm. And then we're going to bring those lines down, and it's going to be longer on the left than it is on the right. That's because her arm is bending. So for the elbow, we're going to come at the bottom of our left line and bring it out like a letter L. Same thing for the top, bring it out and over. And then for this bottom line of the arm, we're going to keep going, curve it down and down all the way to almost the bottom of your paper. Not quite, but almost there. So now again, this is going to show the leg, the knee, and where it bends. And we want to draw the rest of our dress. So underneath our left line, we're going to come into the middle and draw another line that comes down and connect them at the bottom with the curved line for the bottom of her dress. So now that we have the rest of her body, let's go ahead and finish up her arm. So at the end of the arm, you're just going to curve it down into the dress and then draw a curved line like a letter C for the hand. Okay, now that we have the hand, let's go ahead and finish up the hair. So on the left side underneath the hat, you're going to draw a curved line that comes out. Now this can be as short or long as you'd like. That's for the hair, so you can decide if you want the hair to be long or short. And then once you have the length of the hair, you're going to go and draw 4 curved lines in to touch the back of the body. And then in the middle, underneath her hat, you're just going to draw a curved line down to connect to the top of her shoulders. Okay, and now that we have everything almost done for the witch, next we're going to draw the foot. So we're going to draw a line for the back of the foot and then a shorter line for the front of the foot. Draw the bottom of the foot like a letter L and then curve the top of the foot over to a point for her shoe. And now we have our witch. Next we're going to draw the broom. So again, we want to start the broom on the right side to connect to the hand. So we're going to go from the top of the hand and draw a long diagonal line for the top. And then at the bottom of the hand, draw another diagonal line for the bottom. And then make sure to connect the end of that broom with a curved line like a letter C. And then you want to make sure those 2 diagonal lines continue over to the left side. So you want to, don't draw through your witch, but make sure that they are continuing over, and then draw your 2 diagonal lines again. Draw your triangle shape, and then 2 more diagonal lines to attach. And then at the end of those lines, go ahead and draw your sideways letter V for the end of the broom. Draw the details with 2 vertical lines at the top and bottom where the broom connects, the bristles. And at the very end of the broom, again, we're going to show that texture. So we're just going to draw a few wavy curved lines to connect from the top to the bottom. So now we have our broom, we have our witch, and now let's go ahead and add a little bit of details to our witch. So for a hat, you can go ahead and add a little curved line for the ribbon or a stripe on her hat. If you'd like to add a different detail, you can. And then for her face, again, we are looking at our witch in the profile view or side view, so we're only going to see one eye. So right above the nose in the middle of the head, you're going to draw, you can draw any eye you want. Again, it is just one eye, but I'm going to draw a diagonal line and then a small oval to attach to that diagonal line. Witches are usually known to be a little bit mean, so you can draw her with an angry face, but you can also make a happy witch if you want. Next, we're going to draw the mouth, so right underneath the nose and above the chin, you can go ahead and add the mouth. And I'm just going to add a curved line. Okay, so that's going to be the end of my details for my witch, but again, if you'd like to add any other details, you want to make your witch happy, you can go ahead and do that. Change the eyes, that's up to you. And next we're going to add a little friend for our witch, and it's going to be sitting on the right side of her on her broom. Now I'm going to be drawing a cat. You can follow along with me and draw a cat as well, but if you'd like to draw a different kind of friend, you can. Maybe you want to draw an owl, maybe you want to draw, instead of a cat, a dog. That's totally up to you. For my cat, I'm going to start at the bottom, right next to her hand on top of the broom. I do want to make sure whatever friend I add that it is sitting on the broom. So I'm going to start next to her hand on top of the broom, and I'm going to draw a curved line like a letter C. And then I'm going to bring that in and then curve it right back up. So it kind of has just 2 big curves. Now that's going to attach for the whole back and top side of the cat. So next I'm going to draw at the top of this point on the right, I'm just going to draw a short straight line that comes down. And then I'm going to curve it around for the top of the head. Now for my cat, again, it is the side view, so I'm going to see a little bit more of a point for the nose rather than a round head. So I'm going to go ahead and at the bottom of this curved line, just curve it up like a point for the nose and then bring it right back in for the bottom of the head. And next for the rest of the body, I'm just going to curve it back and over like a backward C, but don't attach the bottom of the broom yet. You're just going to draw a short straight line that comes down and then curve it over to the top of the broom for the leg. Now, since we only see the side view of the cat, we do see one full ear, but you can go ahead and add the second ear kind of popping out at the top of the head as well. And next, we are going to draw the details for our friend. So you can go ahead and draw a tail, curve line around, and bring it down to the bottom of the body. You can draw an eye. Now I'm going to have my eye closed. I'm going to draw a curved line for the nose and a curved line for the mouth. All right, now for our very last step for the details in our background, I'm going to draw a large circle for the moon behind my witch. Okay, so do the very best that you can. I know circles can be a little tricky to draw. If you have something that you can use to help you, like a stencil or a large round object that you can use to trace around, you can go ahead and do that. Excuse me. All right, so I'm going to start at the back of my broom, and I'm going to draw a big curved line that comes around. Now I don't want to draw through any of the drawings that I already have on my paper, so I'm just going to continue that line. And again, I'm just doing the best that I can to draw my circle for my moon. So you can finish up the details however you'd like. You can add anything else that you want in your background. However, I do recommend keeping it as simple as you can. We are going to be doing a fun wet into wet texture in the background as well. So we don't want to do too much, but this is your picture and your drawing, so you can go ahead and do that. If you are still working on your final drawing, you need a little bit more time, please feel free to pause the video and then press play when you are ready to get back and continue with us. All right, but now that my final draw is done, I'm going to go ahead and get started on our coloring steps. However, I did tell you guys we don't want anything outlined. So I know mine is outlined right here, but that was just because I drew with my Sharpie so that way you can see the lines a little bit better. So what I did is I created a drawing just in pencil so that way you guys can see how the drawing should look with just pencil. Okay, so your picture should now look a lot more like mine with the pencil lines on your paper. Okay, so I'm going to show you my drawing with this paper that I have in pencil, and again, hopefully you have your pencil drawing, your pencil line in front of you as well. Next, we're going to start with our final color. All right, so next, we're going to start first with our color pencils. So go ahead and put your drawing materials away, take out your color pencils, and let's go ahead and get started. Now for our color pencils, we first are going to outline. So we don't outline with our Sharpie or any markers. We're going to do our color pencils for that, use our color pencils. So for your color pencils, you're going to go ahead and choose the colors that you would like to use for your witch. So for example, if you want your witch's dress to be black or maybe purple, then you can go ahead and choose those colors. Now I'm going to use purple for my witch's dress. Let me find my purple color pencil here. Okay, here we are. So using my color pencils, you do want to make sure that they're nice and sharp because we are outlining with them. And then you're just going to go around those objects that you want that color. And you're going to go right on top of your pencil line. Now you should always be pressing lightly with your pencils. So your pencil line should be much lighter than mine. And you're just going to trace over them with your color pencil. Okay. Now, you can choose different colors than me, or if you'd like to use the same colors, that's totally fine as well. But since my dress is purple, I want my hat to be the same color. So I'm going to use my purple color pencil and outline my hat as well. But if you would like your hat to be a different color, you can grab that next color and start outlining your hat, just like me. And same thing goes for your details. If you'd like them to be a different color, you can go ahead and choose that different color and outline it with that. But if you would like it to be the same color, then go ahead and keep outlining with the same color. I'm going to take orange and outline my stripe on my hat with orange. Now I want my hair to be purple as well, but I want it to look a little bit darker. So I'm going to outline with my black color pencil. So I'm going to take my black color pencil and outline my hair. All right, and my skin, you can use any skin color that you want, but I want this to be pretty fun, so I'm going to make my witch's skin green, like we see sometimes in cartoons or in the movies. So I'm going to take my green color pencil next, and I'm going to outline my witch's skin with some green. Now again, you want to make sure that your color pencils are nice and sharp to outline with. Don't forget the neck. Don't forget her hand. You can even get her mouth and the other details in her face. Okay, and then for the shoe, I think I'm going to go with brown. So next I'm going to take my brown color pencil. Alright, I have my light brown here. So I'm going to outline with my light brown. And my broom is also brown, so I'm going to take my brown and outline my broom. Okay, and then to just get a little bit of some variation or difference in colors, I'm going to make the bristles of my broom orange. So I'm going to take my orange and outline the bristles. And whenever you're outlining, you just want to make sure that you're doing your best. Alright, and once you think everything is outlined for your witch, then you can move on to your other details, like maybe the friend that's hanging out on the broom. So for my cat, I'm going to use black to outline it. I want it to be a black cat. So I'm going to take my black color pencil, outline the cat's body and head, tail, and then also the face details. Alrighty, now lastly for the moon, we don't want to outline that because we are going to, it's going to be a very white moon, and so we want it to just stay white, so we don't want to outline it with any color. Alrighty, so you can go ahead and shake off your paper if you have a little bit of color pencil that maybe dusted off. But once your witch and the front on the broom are outlined, next we're going to add a little bit of shading with our color pencils. Now, I know we haven't colored in anything yet, so it's hard to know where to add the shading, but we're just basically going to add a little bit of color pencil into our picture, so that way once we add our watercolor, we can still see our color pencil and it gives it a little bit more texture. Okay, so what we're going to do first is work on the broom. Now, whatever color you used for the bristles, you want to take that same color and you're just going to add a few lines, whether short or long, and just from the bottom, add those lines down and coming up to the top of the broom bristles. Now again, you can do it short and long, but you don't want to fill everything in. You're just going to add a little bit of color down at the bottom, and then you just want to add some straight lines in the back of the broom bristles. And then once you've done that to your broom bristles, then you can go ahead and take the color that you used for your broom. Found my dark brown. I think I'm going to go with darker brown here. And with that brown that you used for your broom or whatever other color you use, you're just going to go along the middle. Whenever you're using your color pencils, you want to make sure you're using the side of your color pencil, and you're just going to go right along the middle and add a little bit of color down the middle. Okay, so we're going to leave the edges white. We're just filling in the middle area of our broom. So that doesn't mean we're filling in everything, just the center area of the broom. And then if you use the same color of brown for your shoes, you can move on to your shoes next, or if you're using a different color, go ahead and switch to your shoe color. And then the same thing for our shoe. We're just going to fill in the very middle. We're going to leave the edges white. So you're going to use the side of your color pencil and add in a little bit of color. All right, and next you can go ahead and take your dress color. So I'm going to take my purple, and I'm just going to add, not right along the edge, but I'm going to leave a little space between the edge and the area that I'm coloring. And I'm just going to add a little bit of color to the dress with my color pencil. Okay, I want to do the same thing for the arm. Again, not right along the edge. I'm not touching the edge of my arm or my dress, but I am adding a color to the left. Okay, and then underneath where my leg bends on the dress, again, I'm going to add that color. Now again, during any step of this, if you need a little bit more time, you can always pause the video and take that time that you need to catch. But now that we have added our shading to our dress, next we're going to go in and add a little bit of shading to our hair. Now I'm going to take my black. Even though I want my hair to be purple, I do want it to be darker, so I'm going to add a little bit of shading with my black. So I'm going to come again, not right along the edge. I'm going to come in the top right, add some color there, and then bring it down along the right edge, not touching the edge, and just add a little bit of color there. And then I'm gonna have it fade out as I get over to the left side. Okay, and now I want to do the same thing for my witch's hat. So I'm gonna go back to my purple, add a little bit of shading on the left side, not touching the very edge of the hat. Then for my stripe, I'm going to take my orange, add a little bit of color to that stripe. All right, and then lastly, I have the skin of my witch. So I'm just going to add in a little bit of color. Again, not right along the edge, but on the left side of my witch, I'm going to add that shading. And then I'm going to go again down the middle of the neck. All right, and then for my cat, I'm going to do the same thing. Now again, if you have a different kind of friend, you can go ahead and use whatever color you outlined with. And again, we're not touching the very edge or side of the animal, but we are adding our area for shading. And I'm just going to go down the middle of the tail to give it some color as well. Okay, and once you add a little bit of shading and color to all of those objects in your witch, broom, and the animal or friend on the broom, next we are going to add in our watercolor. So if you need a little bit more time with the color pencil step, go ahead and take your time, pause the video. But next I'm going to show you how we're going to use our watercolors and add it into our picture. So I'm going to move my color pencils and bring over my watercolors. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my medium brush. Now I want to use my medium brush because this is not a super large area, but it's also not a super small area. So when you're using your watercolors, you want to make sure that you wet your brush first, wipe it off. It's also very important and handy if you have a paper towel near you. So I'm going to dip, wipe, and I'm going to take my main color first. So I'm going to take my purple here. And for my purple, I want it to be a little bit more of a pink purple. So I'm going to use this red violet color. Now, if you don't have red violet, you can use whatever other color that you want. If you also want it to be a little bit more pink, you can just use red, but use more water because that will make your red lighter. So now I'm going to take my red violet and I'm just going to add it across the dress of my witch. And as you're painting, you should be able to see your shading and color pencils kind of pop through. Now, if you'd like, what you can do is leave the right side unpainted with this main color, and then we can use a second color to kind of, again, just give our witch a little bit more fun with some color here. So I'm just leaving the left side, or sorry, the right side of my dress unpainted to be able to add a second color in there and make it a little bit fun. Now, if you want to make your watercolors a little bit darker, you just want to use a little less water, more paint. This is why it's super important that we make sure the paper we use is nice and thick to hold the amount of water that we need for our watercolors. I'm going to do the same thing for my hat. Just paint that inside and leave a little bit of the right side unpainted. Leaving it unpainted for a lighter color to make like a lighter area or even a highlight. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take a little bit, since I have some orange at the end of my broom and on my witch's hat, I'm going to take a little bit of orange just to kind of add some fun color into my witch's dress, and also get it a little bit of a lighter color so it looks kind of like a highlight or just a lighter area of the hat. So I'm going to take my yellow orange and add it along that right side, that lighter area, in my dress and my hat. And you can let it kind of blend into the pink or red violet if you'd like. I think these colors work really nicely together, so it's okay if they mix. You can even purposefully blend them together to have them mix as well. That would look nice. You can kind of see how it creates more of a lighter look to the dress rather than that pink. So not only does it give it a highlight, lighter effect, but it also adds a second color and it makes it look really fun. Okay, now since I'm using my yellow orange, I can use the same color and fill in my stripe. And I'm just taking my paper towel and wiping off the excess water so it's not super wet. Okay, and now that I've done that, I'm going to move on to my next color. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in the hair. Now again, I wanted the hair to be purple, so I'm going to use my dark purple, and then the black underneath is going to make it look even darker. So I'm going to use my pure purple here, dip, wipe, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to paint in the hair. And again, with that black underneath, it's going to make it look nice and dark. But again, you don't have to be using the same colors that I am. You can use whatever colors it is that you want. Make sure that you're using similar colors to what you used when you painted it or colored in with color pencil. You don't want it to be completely different colors. I'm going to use a little bit more purple, that nice and dark. Okay, so now that I have my dark purple hair, next I am going to take my green to color in the skin. And again, with that color pencil underneath, you'll be able to see the shading and shadow come through the color, or come through the watercolors. Now I'm just going to do my last final details with my watercolor, like the broom. Dip white, 1, 2, 3. Fill in the broom. And again, you'll be able to see your color pencil come through. I'm going to also color in the boot since I'm using brown again. All right, and then I'm gonna take my yellow orange, fill in the bristles. And again, since I have my color pencil there, I'll be able to see that texture. Alrighty. Oh, I almost forgot the hand. Don't forget the hand. Fill that in. Alright, and lastly I have my little cat, my friend that's hanging out with my witch. So I'm going to fill that in with the black as well. But if you filled it in with a different color, you can take that color and color it in with your watercolors. And then once you have filled in your animal, you have your witch and all of those details filled in. Next, we're going to do our wet into wet technique around our moon so that our moon can look nice and bright. So I'm going to switch over to my large brush. And when we do a wet into wet technique, we want to use pure water on our paper first. So I'm going to wipe off the extra water, and then I'm going to just put my water straight onto my paper in the background on the outside of my moon. Now when you do wet into wet, you want to work in small sections at a time. So now I did this right upper corner. I'm going to take, you can use any two colors just as long as they're analogous, similar colors. So I'm going to take my dark purple and my light red violet, and I'm just going to add a few blots of those colors in the wet area of my paper. I can take a little bit more water to help them spread, and I'm just going to use that same technique around the whole background area of my moon, right behind my moon. So I'm going to add more water to my paper. Okay, and then I'm going to take my two colors that I want, add my blots of color. Then I'm going to take my other color, add more to it. Now, as you can see, purple is much more powerful than the red violet that I'm using. So that might happen to your the colors that you choose as well. But you can always go back in and add that first color again to have it stand out. Okay, now I'm going to do the left side. Add some water. Take my first color, add a few drops of paint. Take my second color, add some more paint. Take a little bit more water to help that spread out. Okay, and now I'm just finishing up the background, adding my drops of color, having it spread out and blend into each other. This creates a really nice effect. The colors blend together, and you're just going to make sure that those go around the circle that you made for your moon. And you should have a nice bright white moon in the center behind your witch. Okay. Now, if you'd like to also just add a little bit more texture into your background, if your background is still a little wet or it has puddles, you can take your paper towel and just kind of pick up some of those large wet areas. But you can also take your brush, large brush or a medium brush, make sure it's dry, and you can take a dry brush technique, add a little bit of shading to your moon. So I'm going to do this with a turquoise. So I'm going to pick up some blue without any water on my brush. I'm going to add a little bit of texture on the bottom half of my moon. I know it's a little hard to see because this light blue is pretty light, but it's going to add just a little bit of nice texture. I wonder if you guys can see it on here. So you can see here that it adds a little bit of texture for the moon, add some shading. So you can do that with a dry brush. No water on your brush, just paint. Okay, now another thing that you can do is if you have a paper plate, you can take a little bit of white acrylic and then mix it in with some water. So I don't have a paper plate. I'm going to use my palette here. I'm going to add a little bit of white acrylic, and then taking my brush, I'm going to add some water to it, make it a little bit thinner than normal because acrylics are usually thick. And then taking my brush, I'm going to hold it close to my paper, bend my bristles back and release, and it's going to give some stars, make some stars in my sky. Now this can get a little messy, so I do recommend being very careful and asking your parents first, making sure you're in an area that you can get a little mess into. But this will help you add a little bit of stars. Now again, that might be a little hard to see on my paper, but hopefully you can kind of see it as I show you here on my sample. Okay. Now, if there's any areas in your witch or picture, once it is dry from your watercolors, if you would like to re-outline, like make your cat outline a little bit thicker, or your hair, or your dress, or your broom, you can go ahead and do that. But once you have added that white acrylic texture, if you have it, then that is it for our picture today, and that is our project. So I hope you guys really enjoyed. Make sure to go ahead and clean yourselves up. All right, but that is going to be the end of our Halloween project for our witch. Again, I hope you guys really enjoyed. Thank you all so much for joining, and I'll see you guys next time. My name is Miss Casey. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.